I'm gonna wait for the Instagram to. All right. Like this? Like this?
Hold on, let me.
All right. I'm gonna hit go live.
Okay, go ahead. You go talk the way
Like
you were
this?
saying. Huh?
This is good? This close?
Yeah, I think
All
yeah, that's
right.
good.
Cool, 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 cool. All right. I think we're set to go. We're ready.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh,
Except that I'm not. Hold on, I'm not live on my shit.
okay. We'll wait till you. Do you remember how to log on?
So I have to do this thing every time.
Mm-hmm.
The stream key.
Yes.
So then I'm not ready.
Okay. Do you need me to do anything?
Hold on. Let me just put the new stream key in there. All right, cool.
You're on?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, great. All right. Well, how's my sound?
Your sound is cool.
Solid?
Yeah, it's good.
All right, cool, cool, cool. All right. So we're here recording live, Not Your Mommy's Advice podcast. I'm Claudia, and we also have
Ariel, the other co-host of this podcast. Uh-huh.
yeah, I think we're doing great. This is our second week in a row recording. It's episode 21.
That's you know what? I'm actually looking at actually looking at the episode list. We're actually I think on episode 20.
Okay, well then we're on episode 20.
Yeah. But it's okay.
It's fine.
Yeah. We're just we're a little off, but yeah, we're
You know
20.
what? We're mom and pop. we're we're just, we do this as a labor of love. So it's okay.
That's right. I know we're like racking my brain around how to make this freaking sound work as we have a new setup. If you didn't watch us last week, we have a new setup.
We do.
And yeah, just trying to figure out how to make this shit kind of just work and feel better. And with that comes like learning. Like now I feel like I have to buy new cables,
Oh my god,
but
because the sound.
we are yeah, we're trying to do this shit better. But anyways,
Trying to get you the best possible product because we love you.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right, cool. So welcome to episode 20, I guess.
Yeah.
20 of Not Your Mommy's Advice podcast. Was there anything you want to check in about first before we spin the wheel?
No, that was it. I just wanted to just let everybody
Let
know
everybody
that
know that we're a
if you
work
hear
in
buzzing
progress.
sound, I apologize, and we're trying to fucking figure this shit out as we go.
Yeah. Although we did get one comment last week that said the sound was good. So that's nice.
Hey, bless
Thanks,
your soul.
Leroy.
Yeah, thanks, Leroy.
All right, cool. Well, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and hit share screen so you can see what we got going on here.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, and we're spinning the wheel. See what ends up happening this week.
All right. I can't even read this because the writing is so tiny.
Yeah, well, we did this. So we'll do it again.
Okay. Spin again.
It says love and technology, managing social media and digital communication in relationships.
Oh, interesting.
I think this one's it. I think this is an interesting one because you're way more active on social media than I am.
Active on social media, but you use your phone all the time.
I do use my phone all the time, and I think that I guess those are two different conversations, right? Of like how to I don't know. I guess the social media aspect of like how to gauge that in regards to how much we're putting ourselves out there in social media. And then there's
Mhm.
the other aspect of like just being hooked on technology, which I think are two separate things. And I think at least I experienced them separately. But I'm curious to hear what you got, your initial thoughts on it.
Okay. Um, so love and technology, managing social media and digital communication in relationships. I mean, I think this is really interesting because like Actually, I mean, if somebody were to ask me, I would say like, okay, well, Ariel really like allows me to express myself in whatever way feels like good and best for me. Like, not allows me to, but like it's never necessarily been an issue. Like anything that I feel like I need to tell my friends about our relationship or I want to share about, like you've never been like, no, I don't want you to tell anybody that. Like anytime I ever need to process anything, you've always been super supportive and said like, whatever you need to do, whatever you need to talk about, whoever you need to see, like go do what you feel like is best for yourself.
Yeah.
So I've always really appreciated that. And so I feel like that has really translated to the way that I like present myself online and how much I share. I mean, I share about a lot of things really vulnerably, and that's no different from our relationship. I think I share less about our relationship because like my work is towards individuals, but I share a lot of pictures of our kids and stuff. So if somebody were to ask me, my guess would be like, I don't think that it bothers you. I don't know that I've ever posted anything that you've basically never given me negative feedback about anything, about anything on social media. Now, to say that none of that bothers you, I'm not actually 100% sure if anything that I've ever posted doesn't bother you, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Or if
yeah.
anything that I've posted has actually ever bothered you, or maybe I also know you and I feel like your value is like, you want your partner to feel like they could dress however they want and they could speak however they want, and you're never gonna, like, dictate how those things should be for me. So, maybe that's, like, bleeding over a little bit into, like, being how I am online. So, anyway, I don't know. What do you think? Do you feel like that's true, or am I tripping and you actually do have things to say about it and like, I can barely see you. Do you feel like that's true, or do you, um does stuff that I do bother me, but you just, like, brush it off and don't tell me?
No, I
Bother
think
you, not
I
me.
so this is what I'll say, right? Like, I don't think anything really bothers me that you share on social media. Well, one, because I feel like social media is not like an active representation of life, you know? I think it's engaging and I think it's interesting to look at. I think when I think about looking at other people's stuff and and even some of your stuff, like I look at it and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool that like you're sharing that. Like so then that's one. And then like the second part of it is like I also like admire that about you that you're willing to share stuff about yourself on social media. I'm not that much. I feel like I have to really push myself in order to share on social media. Like for instance, like we just had Mother's Day and like on my feed there was a bunch of like Mother's Day
Oh, yeah.
like stories, right? Of like, oh, shout out to the best mom to ever fucking lived. Oh, gracias a mi mama, or lo que sea, mi
Mi
mama.
mamacita.
Well, yeah, both really occurred, right? Of like la mejor mama, like the best mom in the world, and they're talking about their own mom, and then they're like, oh, to my mamacita, which is my wife or my
Oh,
partner,
that's
like,
funny.
so like there's like these like expressions of like gratitude, and all day I was thinking of like, and this is just kind of my thought process. All day I was thinking about like, fuck, should I do something for Claudia? Like, should I put something on my story? And like, I didn't end up doing anything. I didn't end up like posting about it. And, but I still like wanted to let you know that I still appreciated you and, still love you for being a great mom. And, I feel really honored to be your partner and to have kids with you. And like, there is this other real like peer pressure-y feel of social media. So when I see you do it, I'm like, that's tight that like you don't feel that like it took me all day to like think about and muster up enough courage to like do the post. It just feels really vulnerable to like share that aspect of myself with
Mhm.
people on social media. Like even doing a live like feels really sometimes really scary, feels really vulnerable. But you're not like that. So, one aspect I really appreciate social media because it gives me an insight on what you want to share with the world.
Mm.
So to go back to your original question of if anything that really bothers me, I don't think really anything has ever bothered me up until this point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think there have been a few times where I've checked in with you where you're like, "Okay, like, no, I don't care," or, like, I think that I posted maybe, like, a picture where I did, like, a lingerie sexy dance class, and I posted a picture, and I'm like, "I totally knew that you wouldn't care." if I posted that picture. Like, you couldn't give 2
Can't
shits about it.
can't even remember that
Could
happened.
care less. Yeah, I know. That felt really nice to show you, like, a nice sexy picture, and you're like, "Cool, anyway, I'm gonna go play my video game." I mean, I feel like so that's the thing where I'm like, I could care less about what you post on social media about me. Like, and I feel like that's a huge change maybe from what I might have said, 5, 10 years ago. And I feel like that's my most honest, like, response. Like, because I really could give a fuck. Because I know how little it means. Like, not that it means little, but, like, to me, I really just don't care. That's, like, highly personalized to me. Like, I feel like it feels nice, like, when people acknowledge me online, like, it feels good, like, sure, to get a shout out, but I'm not, like, hanging on that from you specifically. Like, I'm not like, "Oh, I really feel like I need this shout out from him." Does it feel good when you do it? Sure, but I'm not like, "Oh, yeah, like, doesn't acknowledge or recognize me." That what matters to me is, like, the intention and the thought that happens in real life.
Mhm,
So I'm like, offering to pack the kids' lunches or like, thinking about what, how we want to spend the day together or like asking me what I want to do. All of those things, like being curious about my experiences, all of those things matter to me 100 times over a post on social media. Like if you posted on social media and then you were like, all right, that's it. And like, okay, I'm done. I'd be like, all right, like that doesn't matter
yeah.
for Mother's Day or my birthday or whatever.
I
But
know. What but I think we're also like in this time and technology where like social media is a big part of our life, and I think it would be a like uh I think it would be a lie to say that social media doesn't play a role in relationships now,
yeah,
and
totally.
I also want to caveat this too with like I was coming up in a time where social media wasn't like the big place where you give affirmations to your partner. It's not the home of like professing my love for you,
Mhm.
which I feel like in a way I feel like that is kind of where social media has kind of gone in regards to relationships. I
Mhm.
feel like there is a lot of professing my love or like, you know, five things that I love about my husband or whatever, like, like, or even just like, you know, POV, like my wife is putting the kids down and it's like a meme of like the wrestling and shit like that comes up for
That's
me. You know what I'm
funny.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
so like there's like this aspect that like relationships kind of get, I don't want to say watered down, but I guess I'm just going to use that just
Yeah, I could see what
for
you're
the
saying.
sake of the term of it. Like it does feel like we're in a time where relationships are, I don't want to say validated by social media, but kind of in a way validated by social media. So but, I'm also that's also my personality too though, where I'm also not gonna like I never really been so much of like extroverted like expression of my love. I mean, I still love you very much, but like it's not like this thing where I'm gonna have like this big like balloon or like these big like things. And I think that that's not really in my nature. It would take a lot for me to do it, and I'd do it if that's what you're asking me to do.
But that's the thing is that you do it. Like, you do those things. Like, when we started dating, it's not like you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you a gift," or "I'm gonna get you flowers," or "I'm gonna get you a balloon." But you do those things not because they're born out of you, but because you know how much they mean to me. That's what I'm saying. Like, again, to affirm your point, if somebody is wanting some sort of like acknowledgement, or it would be nice if this person, my partner, shouted me out on social media, or like if your partner doesn't ever post anything of you and you're like a freaking ghost and no one knows about you, then I would be like, okay, maybe that's a different conversation about like a need that you might have as one partner in a couplehood. And then you can talk to your partner about like how to get that need met if it's not going to be through social media for whatever reason. But like we've done that work outside of whatever you're posting.
Yeah.
So like you do have expressions of love and appreciation outside of what you're doing on social media, which me again go back to like meaning so much more to me than any post would.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would love to have somebody on or just kinda, like, hear the perspective of somebody that's kind of, like where, like, that's kinda, like, more of the reality where, like, they're professing each other's love on social media, like, I'd be really curious to hear that experience, uh, because again, I kinda admire it because it's not really in my nature, but then, like, I'm also curious as to, like, what is the need there for doing it? Um, but yeah, social media is an interesting place because I feel like there's a lot of unspoken expectations about relationships in social media. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but what about navigating time with technology? So this is what I wanna know. What about navigating time with technology versus, like, time with your partner? Like, how much time I or you spend on the computer, or on the phone, or being on the phone at the dinner table, or on the computer while watching a movie, because that's part of technology and relationships, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there again, I think tech is in a weird it's not in a weird place, but we're also so advanced that, like, we've gotten so advanced with tech that, like, it's really just with us everywhere that we go. So, the moments of connection, like, as a human level, like, as relation like, in a relationship, in partnership with you, I think sometimes uh can clash with technology, right? Because I know that there's been plenty of times where I'm watching a movie and maybe I look at my phone for me feels like 10 seconds where I'm just looking at my soccer feed and you're like, "Are you even paying attention to the movie?" Like, I mean, I hear that, and what I hear there, because I know you, you're like, "I want you to enjoy this movie with me," or, "I want you to spend this time with me
Mhm.
watching this movie," right? But there are times where I can't always make that up, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm just looking at my phone for, like, 10 seconds." Like, you do that too.
Mhm.
So, I think there's a lot of misconstruction there with tech as well, because I know another experience of mine, which happened earlier in our relationship, was there were times at night, I remember this
Oh my
specifically, I remember
god.
at night,
Oh my
uh,
god.
you I would be doing something, I was probably playing video games, and then I would go in, and then you'd just be on your computer, and you'd just be, like, typing away, doing your shit, and it was you would be so focused that, like, I would ask you something, and you'd just be like, I was for folks that are just listening, like, she would just stare at me and just
'Cause
keep
I
typing.
was thinking,
And yeah,
and
she was thinking, but, like, to me,
I
because
was
I'm so
working. I wasn't just, like, on my laptop typing. I
but
was
because
working.
I'm also so new to the relationship that I'm like, I don't know that, like, I don't know that yet, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have enough exposure of it so far. Like, I'm just like, "What the fuck's happening right now?" Like, you're just, like, completely, like, ignoring me, and, like, that didn't feel good,
I'm
right? So, like
sorry. That does probably feel really shitty.
but again, it's like the misconstruction, I think, of technology.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm finding it to be this, like, really interesting thing where, I mean, we use our phones and other technology, like video games. I don't play video games, but you do, um, as, like, regulation tools. So when
Yeah,
you wanna, blow off steam, you wanna, like, decompress from a day at work, you just had something really stressful, then you look at your phone.
yeah.
Like anybody, right? Like, we all do it. Whether that's, like, reading something, I could be looking at pictures, I could be texting my friends, or I could be looking at social media, most likely scrolling. But then I feel like that's, like, becomes a little bit challenging because it's like, okay, well, it's, like, kind of compulsory or, like, habitual, because like, we have our phones with us all the time. So, I mean, I feel like that's where like, ebb and flow with my awareness of, like, how much I have my phone with me because I'm attached to it constantly because of work, and constantly because I'm like, my kids are not always with me, and I wanna know if they're safe, so it's just, like, I almost feel like I have to. Like, even when Makai was born, you got me the smartwatch, and I was like, "This feels like a freaking, like, ball and chain. This does not feel like a thing that I feel excited about to wear on my wrist." You know what I'm saying?
Here, it's still over here,
Yeah,
charging
because
its life
it feels
away.
really overwhelming to be just constantly available to an entire world attached to my hand.
Yeah,
Like, it's, like, too much for me.
yeah,
So, anyway, my whole point going back to the relationship is, like, I think that there are times where I'm needing connection from you, and then you're on your phone, so it's, like, really triggering.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, I'm at the dinner table with the kids, and you're across from me, and you're on your phone." And I'm like, "Dude, hello? We're having dinner right now.
Yeah.
Let's pay attention to each other."
Yeah. But I will say this though, added to that, like, so if we were to dive a little bit deeper into that, like, kind of flow, right? Like, you're with the boys, they're at the table, and, like, I didn't grow up having family dinner. That's not to say that's an excuse, but, like, I'm also working that muscle, and I'm coming home from work. It is not like I don't wanna just make it sound like excuses, but this is really what's happening for me in the moment. And kinda to your point of, like, it being a regulating tool,
Mhm.
it may not be the best regulating tool, but in those moments where I'm with these children every day, right? Like, I'm with these 2. I'm my son's teachers, by the way, for folks that don't know. So I have both of my kids in my classroom. So I'm around these freaking kids every day. And so then now like, so there's an expectation, right, of like still being here as a dad and being as a partner.
Yeah.
And so to feel like I have to regulate myself, like, and maybe I do it unconsciously, like it does take quite a bit of like conscious, like, rewiring of that, and I'm still learning that, you know what I'm saying? And, like, and I'm trying to get better at telling you, like, "Hey, babe, I need, like, 15, 20 minutes to just kinda just look at my phone, and I'll be in the room," you know what I'm saying? Like, before I reengage.
Mhm.
But, yeah, sometimes it's hard. It's hard to I think tech really brings up a conversation really about connection
Mhm.
and wanting actually connection with another human being, even though they're right in front of you,
Yeah.
because phones can be so like draining to your attention, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That like even though I'm right next to you, I may not even be paying attention to you. I may not have heard anything you just said. So I can see why you would be like, this fucking guy's not listening to anything these kids or me
Mm.
are saying,
Yeah.
you
Which
know?
is like, I mean, that may not bother somebody else. I feel like it could be, whatever. People could be with their partners on their phones in front of the TV with the video game, totally like unbothered. Like it's good enough for them. But my love language is quality time. So, and if you know, like, I feel like it's important to also know, like, within that realm of what quality time is, like, how I need it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I want your undivided attention. Not undivided, but as like, I want to feel intimately connected with you. So that means, yeah, like, put your phone down, and that same thing goes for me. And then to zoom out even more, I think what happens for me is like, there's this fear that I'm gonna like be old and look back on my life and be like, fuck, dude, like every night we went to sleep and we looked at our phone before bed. And then the first thing that we do in the morning is we look at our phone again. And then at the dinner table, we're looking at our phone. And I'm like, fuck, dude, like that's like, is that going to be our whole existence? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so not to say that that's reality, but like it even makes me feel emotional because I'm like, okay, am I going to look back on my life and be like, damn, there are moments that I missed, like missed opportunities to have with you or with the children because we're like, whatever, fucking scrolling through Instagram or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think really that's where it's like born out of, where in the moments where I'm like clawing and I'm like, get off your phone,
Yeah.
it comes from that fear
Yeah.
place. And I want connection.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I feel it. I mean, but I'm also in that train of thought of like, yeah, I mean, that is kind of reality. That is kind of where we are, like as a society where our phones are really attached. And the reality of it is it's probably gonna get even more advanced
Mhm.
where we're gonna just fucking it's gonna just literally be all around us. So I'm also thinking about what our kids are gonna experience, right? Like what their reality of it is. And I can't I'm not so much in the line of like I'm gonna miss something. I think what I'm like, I just want to take care of myself so that I can still be present within this
Okay.
as it's evolving and that it doesn't consume me. And you know what I'm saying? Like because I don't want it to consume me. Because when I look at so this is my thing, right? Like when I look at this in my phone and I get my weekly report of how many hours I watch my phone a day, I sometimes get, like, surprised by how to me, my perception of it is how little I'm looking at it, because it tells me that I'm looking at it for 4.5 hours a day. which to me, I'm like, that's pretty good to me, right? Now, I don't know what other people are looking at it, but
I guess we could Google to see what, like, the average watch time is on someone's phone.
I mean, look, let me see. Let's see.
Let's look it up.
Maybe I'm
'Cause
above average, or I hope not.
I actually don't know how many hours a day I look at my phone. So I really wouldn't even be able to tell you that data. But you know what I'm thinking about is, like, you while he's looking this up, for folks who don't know, you're working with kids, so you're never on your phone at work, ever. I'm,
Yeah,
like, literally on when I work, I'm on my phone all day long.
yeah.
What's the
So
average time on, that someone spends on their phone daily?
7 hours,
Shit, for real?
7 hours. So I'm below average,
That's
but
so many. Modern matcha's laughing. Hello. The
yeah.
modern matcha is
What
laughing.
up?
Cry face laugh emoji.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so even though even in this moment, right, of connection, of wanting to connect with me, I am still doing it at a level, at least to me in my own experience, I'm
Mhm.
doing it at a rate that is much lower than people's are. And that's not to say that, like, oh, some props, but it tells you how impactful it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it tells us how impactful even this little bit of time that's being done, like how much it actually disconnects us in the moment.
Yeah, in the moment.
So,
I feel like that's really what, like, that so ultimately I feel like the biggest takeaway is, like, okay, how are my behaviors and actions and words impacting you as my partner and vice versa? Because
yeah,
it's like, you know, you could be here and be like, well, I'm only on it for 4 hours. And so it really shouldn't be a big deal. And so you shouldn't be upset about it, which I know that's not what you're saying. What you're actually saying is it's like, oh, look at actually what it's doing, even though it's less than the average. But, like, look at how it impacts you at the moment, which I feel like is, the most important thing. Not to say that you're never gonna do it, but it's like, "Oh, wow. Look at how my behavior is impacting my partner."
of course. I mean, I think that so that's what I'm saying, right? Like
Yeah.
when we're watching that movie and you say like, "Are you even watching the movie?" And I'm like, "I feel like I know this movie better
Yeah.
than you." And I'm like, I looked away for
My
like 10
question is
seconds.
like, "Are you here with me right now?"
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
that's really what the question is. So I'm like, okay, so that means that with my partner, I need to put this away and try to watch this movie that I may or may not be interested in.
Wait, can for context, I feel like I need to share this. For context, for dinner time, when I was younger, can I share how dinner time was with me when I was younger for us?
Of course, I
Okay.
mean, yeah,
Okay.
it's our podcast,
I
so
know,
you
but
can talk
I
about
know,
whatever you want.
I'm just thinking, like, for context, it was every single night we had dinner together, TV off,
Yeah,
everybody sat down at the table at the same time, no one started eating until everybody was sitting, and we played Luis Miguel.
that's crazy.
So we, like, listened to music and then, like, talked about our day and turned the TV off, which was the saddest part, I think, of the day, which is so sad for me, but it was, like, it was expected. So there was, like, no fighting it, and then I got older and we started to watch TV during dinner. But, like, so for me, I'm like, I want Makai and Amatha to have that too.
Hmm.
Like, to have okay, dinner time is, like, protected family time, and mom, at least, is serious about it. You can't mess with dinner time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't have that for sure, but, like, that's how I remember my childhood, so I think I'm trying to recreate it.
Yeah, I mean, and a part and I think a part of me wants that as well. I know I'm aware that I'm having to work that muscle a lot more because
Well,
there's
yeah, me
only
too. I never had to execute it. I just was a participant.
I know, but you have some background in it. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? Like, you all those steps you just said of like people turn the TV off, like we were expected to talk about how our day was. With my mom, it's until recent years where I'm asking her how her day was.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? Like it's within since you probably started coming when you came into my life and you started being here more actively in regards to being in a family with me. Like that's probably when because you were asking her how her day was.
I know because I'm like, "How was your day?" 'Cause I actually
This lady,
genuinely
I
wanna
mean,
know.
she
I'm like,
sounded like she
"Talk
was
to me."
pissed as soon as she walked in through the door. You know what I'm saying? Like as soon as she walked in the door, she was like, "The fuck's wrong? These dishes are still here." You know
No,
what I'm
no, no,
saying?
no,
Like
no. Now I have a secret to how to get her to start talking. Do you wanna hear what it is?
what?
Okay.
You
So
enlighten me
so
because I
what
don't
you
know.
have to do is that you have to make her coffee for her,
Yeah,
and it just automatically puts her in a good mood, and then she'll talk to you.
well, guess who didn't get taught how to make coffee? me. So
Little
I
Ariel.
didn't have any of that background
But
knowledge.
now you know how to make
Yeah,
coffee, so
because
now
it's
you
a
know.
fucking Keurig pot. So it's the easiest type of coffee to make.
Yeah.
Um,
So now you know how to get in her good graces.
yeah, I think, I think just circling back on the tech thing, and then I think we could start,
Wrapping it up.
start descending this plane. I wanna
Aterrizando.
I wanna just say that, like, I think tech, while I think there is some really cool things coming out of it, it almost sounds cliche about the connection piece with humans, but it really does disrupt our connections as humans,
Mhm.
and even more so in partnership. So I think that there is a calling there for folks that are in partnership or trying to be in partnership, like, really how heavy and how intentional communication really needs to be around tech, because as we just kind of explained, like, some of these things may trigger something in us without us even knowing
Mhm.
what it really actually is. But there's such a much deeper conversation and how to actually connect if
Mhm.
we can actually name, like, what's happening
Yeah.
when tech is in front of us and it gets in the way of our connection, even though some of us are using it to try to take care of ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that really I'm taking away is like, I mean, I could probably name like 3 friends right now who would give a fuck if I was on my phone, you know what I'm saying? Like, they'd be like, "Whatever." But, like, the fact that you stay curious about what your impact is on me and vice versa, I feel like is the most important thing. Or, like, you're not assuming, you're asking, you're listening, you're open, you're curious. So, all of those things are like, obviously tech is gonna be around, and the only way that we're gonna really be able to adapt is by, at least in our relationship, is by staying open and curious and talking about it.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I won't care forever. And I'll be like, one day I'll be like, "Well, whatever."
Well, it's gonna be interesting once VR kind of hits more mainstream, and we're gonna be fucking, hooked up with our faces, like how relationships gonna be with actual physical humans, right? Because
Yeah.
then there's actually, like, because phones kind of take our mind like this, right? They take it away,
Mhm.
but to now have something so in your face that, like, how do we actually break away from it and actually communicate? I think that's a larger conversation that I don't even think that tech is even, even wanting to have, but it is going to impact relationships, and
Yeah,
I
totally.
think it's a very real issue that I think exists in relationships. And again, I think it really stems from misunderstandings about tech and, like, what it actually is doing for us, and sometimes getting in the way of
Mhm.
relationships.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Because so the last part is because one of the reasons that I know that it gets in the way is because I worked with high schoolers,
Oh my
and high
god.
schoolers are glued to the phone.
Yeah.
So I've seen them in relationship with each other and them have, like, big blow ups because there's a misattunement or a misconnection on what the tech actually means or what it's actually doing to them. They don't have the language for it. They don't have
Yeah.
they don't have it yet, you
Yeah.
know?
So all of that to say, I think my biggest takeaway right now is that our kids are not gonna have a smartphone until they're in high school.
Okay, all right. Take it easy. Take it easy. Hold on. We don't need to jump off the cliff. Well, wait, I guess that's a larger
I
conversation that
know
I think.
I'm obviously I'm kind of making a joke, but I mean, I don't think they need to have a smartphone. They can have a flip phone to get a hold of us. That's fine.
Oh my god, don't do that to those
Who
poor children.
cares?
I what
I care
they
about their well-being.
they're gonna get bullied. They're gonna be like, "Oh, look at the kid with the flip
Oh,
phone."
okay. You think they're gonna get bullied at the freaking school that we're gonna send them to? Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
You never know,
Well, this is probably a conversation for another time.
Yeah. But, yeah, thank you for those folks that came in and
Yes, I see
listened
you
to
out
our
here
episode,
in the
and we
chat.
appreciate you very much. I know I
Yeah.
see you. I saw Weddle came in here. Saludos, Weddle. Good to
Yeah.
see
So
you,
all our
brother.
folks that joined, thank you for listening. To all our listeners on where podcast stream. Thank you. Thank you. And that's all we have for you for today.
Yeah, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.